In today's world, we are absolutely swimming in data. But let's be honest, how do we turn that massive flood of raw information into something we can actually use? Well, that's where a really critical process comes into play, the data ingestion pipeline. So today, let's break down exactly what that is, why it's so incredibly important.
Really think about it for a second. We generate this staggering amount of data every single day, and it's coming from countless different sources. But if that data is just sitting there, completely raw and unprocessed, what good is it? On its own, raw data is kind of like unrefined ore. It's full of potential, but it's not actually valuable, yet.
So to unlock all those amazing insights hidden deep inside, that data needs to be collected, it needs to be shaped, and it needs to be delivered to just the right place. It has to go on this journey, right? From its raw, messy state to a refined, structured, and super useful form. And that entire journey is made possible by a data pipeline.
Now, probably the best way to wrap your head around this whole journey is with a really powerful analogy. I want you to think of it as a digital assembly line, a process that's specifically designed to turn that raw data into refined, actionable insights.
And honestly, it's a perfect comparison. In a factory, you've got raw materials that go in one end, they move through a whole series of steps, and then a finished product comes out the other. Well, a data pipeline does the exact same thing, but its raw material isn't steel or plastic, it's information.
So here's the more official definition for you. A data ingestion pipeline is a system that orchestrates this whole process. And that word orchestrates is absolutely key. It's not just one single thing. It's a whole sequence of carefully coordinated steps that moves data, changes it, and then loads it into a final destination where it can finally be analyzed. It's like the foreman of our entire assembly line.
So you might be wondering, how do you actually build one of these digital factories? Well, in the world of Microsoft Azure, the main toolkits for the job are Azure Data Factory and Microsoft Fabric. You can think of these as the companies that design and sell all the high-tech machinery you'd need for your entire assembly line.
All right, now that we have our factory concept down, let's look inside. Let's pop the hood. What are the specific parts, the key components, that actually make this digital assembly line tick?
First up, we've got something called activities. These are the verbs of the pipeline. An activity is just a specific action that gets performed on the data. In our factory analogy, this is a single station on the assembly line. One station might be sorting the materials, another could be processing them, and maybe a third one transforms them into a completely new shape.
Next up, data sets. This one's pretty simple. It's the data itself. It's the actual material moving along our assembly line. An input data set is the pile of raw material coming into the factory, while an output data set is that shiny, finished product that rolls off the end of the line.
And that brings us to linked services. Okay, so if activities are the actions, linked services are the specialized machines that actually perform those actions. They're the specific tools you connect to your pipeline to get the work done. For example, you might link to a super powerful tool like Azure Databricks for some heavy-duty processing. That's your welder. Or maybe use a database to look up information, and that's your painter.
So let's put it all together real quick. To run our assembly line, we need to know what actions to perform. Those are our activities. We need the actual material to work on. That's our data sets. And we need the specialized tools to do the work, our linked services. Those three things are the engine that powers any data pipeline.
Okay, theory is great, but we've met all the individual components now. So let's see how they all come together and walk through a pretty common example of a pipeline in action, from start to finish.
So here's a great little journey for our data. In step 1, the raw material arrives. A storage service, in this case an Azure Blob Store, performs the ingest activity. Then in step 2, the data moves down the line to a lookup station, where a database activity checks for some related information. Step 3 is where the real heavy lifting, the transformation, happens. A powerful processing engine like Azure Databricks applies all sorts of custom logic. And finally, in step 4, our finished product, the clean, processed data, is saved to its final warehouse, Microsoft Fabric, all ready to be used.
So we've seen the what, we've seen the how, but that brings us to maybe the most important question of all. Why? Why go through all the trouble of building this sophisticated digital assembly line? What's the point?
Well, the goal is actually simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It's to create a single, unified analytical data store. It's all about taking data from a ton of different, often messy sources and bringing it all into one clean, structured, reliable place where it's finally ready for analysis. This is where your analysts and decision makers can go to find the real business value.
So, as we wrap this up, just remember this. The insights your business needs are probably already there. They're just locked away inside your raw data. The only real question is your assembly line ready to unlock them?